is Anita Annabelle for WEOA. We are outside the iconic Planet Cake. We are about to talk to owner Paris Cutler. Let's go inside. So we're here today with cake owner and cake queen, Paris Cutler of Planet Cake. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No, you're very welcome.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you, and
thank you.
Right inside the studio. So tell us a little bit about Planet Cake.
Planet Cake, well, I bought it as a small business in 2003, and it wasn't very big, and cake decorating wasn't very popular at that time. So I saw a real niche in being able to combine fashion with cakes. So I've always approached cakes like a edible fashion product. And so that's how they fit in with wedding cakes as well. Yeah. So that was kind of my philosophy, and since then it's just grown. It's grown and grown and grown. Yeah.
So tell me your inspiration behind actually buying Planet Cake.
Really, I had a wedding and I just went bigger than Ben-Hur, like I got crazy with it, and everything was beautiful except for the cake, which I got from a top cake decorator, but it was the wrong design, wrong colour, tasted awful, the service was really bad, and I thought this is something that no one's really gone for before, and I just loved the product, like I just loved cake, so I thought, perfect, that's it.
And in saying that, so you've had a bad experience yourself, what advice would you give to other brides when choosing their wedding cake?
I think that you really do need to spend that extra little bit more and get an expert, because it's not just about the design and how it's set up. You've got to think about things like, is it going to be delivered? You know, is it going to be set up properly? Am I going to have to chase my cake decorator? If you go with an expert, none of that's going to be a problem. And you also have to think, you know, is it going to fit in with the rest of my wedding theming? And I don't think someone without experience can do that effectively. Cakes really are that ultimate wow factor, cutting into something incredible.
And it's the biggest special moment of a wedding day, isn't it?
It is. That's why all the celebrity photos usually have someone cutting the cake. Yeah.
So in terms of your cake making, what sets you apart from other cake makers?
I think we've still got a whole lot of skills which are they're not old-fashioned, but they're coming alive again now. So we do lace piping at a really, really high level. That was one of the reasons why Nicole Kidman chose us to do her cake. We still make all our own sugar flour. So if you go out into the kitchen, there'll be no big machines, there'll be nothing. It's all artisan, it's all done by hand. And that means that you can create really unique designs, because you're not limited to stencils or things like this. It's always about you. Really, every client should be a new design. That's my philosophy, because every client is different.
Run us through a normal consultation. So how would it work?
Usually the cake is the last thing that you order, because what it is it's bringing all that theming back together in one statement piece. So the invitation, the dress, flowers, etc. You'd book an appointment at Planet Cake, you'd sit down, we've got a professional designer. He would sketch something out for you while you're here, so he'll draw it, you'll be instrumental in that. Do your tasting, etc, etc, and if you're happy with it, obviously come back and book. We do book out really quickly, so you're probably booking it about 3 months in advance. But I think the one thing that people get really uptight about is, do I have to design my own cake, or do I have to have an idea before you come here? No, you come with all the elements and then we put it all together for you, unless you've got an idea that you really want us to execute.
And so for all our brides out there who are watching, tell us who your favourite people that you've designed cakes for are and what their cakes were.
Are you talking about celebrities?
Yeah.
We've done lots of kind of Australian celebrities, which I've really enjoyed, but I guess some of the ones, obviously Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban stand out. That was really exciting to be able to make their wedding cake. Beck and Leighton was the first big wedding cake we got off the ranks. We've done cakes for Rihanna, Lady Gaga. Each one, I think, is reflective of who they are.
So in terms of Wedding and Events of Australia, you've recently become a member, so thank you so much for joining us. So what do you think Wedding and Events of Australia can do for you?
I think it's not just what it can do for me, but what it can do in terms of directory and navigation. So one of the biggest problems that cake decorators now find is that there's thousands and thousands of cake stores. So what you and my membership is hopefully doing is being able to narrow it down to just the top ones. And the criteria that you guys have chosen is so solid that we're basically in a category where I would look to the right and look to the left and say, yeah, we're in the right place. We're often, I don't feel like that.
Do you often make all of your deliveries, apart from maybe wedding cakes?
No, we've got a professional delivery driver, and I mean that's a really, really big thing. That's where it all goes horribly wrong, and your venue gets cranky, you get stressed, and really causes so much heartache. So we've got a professional person, they set it up, all the rest of it, and I would have to say that's the #1 area that amateurs or amateur suppliers go terribly wrong, is in the delivery and the execution.
Yeah. So for all of our bride and grooms out there, do you have any advice from when they're choosing their special day cake?
I think the advice I would give is rather boring, but I know it's a huge concern to bride and grooms, and that's allocating your budget and how much you should allocate towards the cake. And I think that something that people don't understand is it's not how big your cake is, it's how much work you spend on the cake. It's kind of like a plumber, how many hours they're here. So a cake like this, with all this detail, that would take about 12 hours, 2 days to make. So obviously the cost is going to reflect that. But if you had a cake this size with very, very simple detail and just fresh flowers on top, it would probably be about half the price.
Wow.
Now the advice I would give to brides and grooms, and this is just my personal advice, is to go for height rather than detail.
Okay.
So if you've got a limited budget, go for a taller cake, not a detailed cake. And the reason for that is that when you walk into the venue and you see the cake, you really need it to pop, like have some drama. And just a smaller cake, it may get lost in the whole thing. So when allocating budget, think if you want to spend less detail. That's really the deal. At the moment, ruffles are huge. Piping is massive, and some beautiful things that you can do with lace piping, which I've really loved working with, to bring in, say, your grandmother's veil, the pattern on your grandmother's veil, patterns from your dress. But yeah, height, and you got to look for those sharp edges. That's basically says it's a couture cake.
Wow, it's absolutely amazing, and a lot for our brides and grooms to think about. And thank you so much for having us, because you really do put cakes on the map, I must say.
Thank you very much. That's a huge honour. That's what we strive for. Just keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. Great philosophy.
Thank you.